Good morning, my friends. What is up? My name is Seth. My pronouns are he and they. Welcome to your morning inspiración, your morning inspiration video for the day. We're keeping track. It is day number 26. Oh, yes. So excited about that. Um, so, um, just to let you know, if you're hearing the fact that my voice is a little bit lower, it seems my voice kind of dropped overnight. I woke up this morning kind of sounding like Barry White, which is something that I actually really love. Thing is, I'm on testosterone, and with that, my voice goes down. I sometimes will have drops in my voice like this. So um, I'm not sick. It's just how it is. I've accepted it, and I absolutely really love it. So that's the thing. I'm not sick. It's just what my voice did, and personally I think it's sexy. So I'm accepting that, and acceptance is something that we're actually going to be talking about. So with that being said, if you're finding you're needing just a little bit of some extra motivation today, if you're needing a little bit of a boost, I hope this video serves to do that for you, at least a little bit for today. So let's get into this. Okay. So 2 days ago, the day 24 morning inspiration video, I talked a little bit about how inside of like my journey and everything through a lot of my healing journey, one of the things that I realized is a lot of where my power lies, a lot of where the power source is for me as well as for others. And that's in figuring out what we can control and what we can't, distinguishing between what we can control and what we can't, as well as also in order to kind of lessen the pain that we may be going through, the pain that we have gone through, any pain that we have to accept it, which is not always the easiest thing to do, right? So I thought what I would do for today is talk a little bit about more of acceptance and kind of ways that we can do that, or ways that I have done that inside of my healing and wellness journey. So let's first talk about this fact of thoughts and emotions acceptance. This is about, I think a lot of us have kind of heard about, the word acceptance, like, stating, okay, something is true, something is, I accept this as fact, right? Well, with thoughts and emotions acceptance, it is about that, but I think it's also about the willingness to tolerate a difficult or unpleasant situation. One of the things that I've learned through my uncle, Jonathan, I call him my in my family Uncle Jonathan Staggers, is that in order to, when it comes to emotions, when it comes to things that are going on, instead of, just negating it, figuring out a way to kind of navigate through it and just let yourself feel it, which again is not always the easiest thing to do. But it's something that is really paramount and really, powerful for all of us. So, with thoughts and emotions acceptance, this is a willingness to tolerate a difficult or unpleasant situation. And I think one of the ways I actually started being able to do this was about being able to shift my perspective on emotions. So for me, I've had a lot of grief in my life. I've had a lot of loss, losing the three family members that raised me, and just for me, there's just been a lot of loss. Losing a home, losing a sense of self identity, losing a lot of it. And with along with that loss brought me a lot of sadness. Brought me a lot of sadness, as well as it brought me a lot of anger. However, when we talk about, shifting our perspective on emotions, that all of that sadness, that came because I first had a lot of love, because there was a lot of love that was kind of, the precursor to that sadness. There was a lot of love, there was a lot of happiness, there was a lot of joy and everything. And then came the sadness when I lost, all these people in my life, you know. So again, kind of shifting our perspective on our emotions. Now, with an emotion like fear, when I was in a homeless shelter back in 2017, I had a lot of fear. There was just a lot of fear that was just gripping me every single day. What I learned, when as a kind of, shifting a perspective on fear, with fear, you have kind of the fight or flight response, and I was again in a place where if you touch somebody, you put your hands on somebody, because it was a homeless shelter, you lose your bed or you get kicked out. So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, so what I have to do is kind of run, or try and figure out a way to improve my situation by getting myself out of there. It was something that actually helped to kind of propel me to move forward, in other words. So again, figuring out kind of a perspective when it comes to emotions. Another way how I learned how to kind of accept my emotions is seeing the emotion for how it is. This was kind of what I talked about earlier when I was talking about how Uncle Jonathan was someone who had actually taught me on how to kind of navigate emotions and navigate thoughts, seeing the kind of emotion for literally how it is, and having non-judgment about it, which I'll talk about in a minute. But so it's just about saying, okay, I feel that there's anger rising up in me, there's all of these emotions that are kind of rising up in me, or I'm having all these thoughts, just seeing it for how it is and not judging it, right? So that's also something that's really, really powerful, and I actually had to do that. And in addition to that, changing the reaction to the emotion, I had to figure out a way how to change what my reactions were to certain emotions as well as certain thoughts. And this is something that can also really be powerful. You know, because I think I talked about, like, last week, how inside of my community practice we were looking at, if you feel a certain way, then instead of, if you're feeling a certain way, like if you're feeling um sadness or depression, rather than sheltering or kind of closing yourself off, to something, and instead of doing that, then do something else, like listen to music or take a shower or whatever it is. So what I had to realize is changing my reactions to certain emotions and certain thoughts was something that could also really help me in my life. And it kind of helped me to start getting or breaking free of my depression, and also breaking free of my anxiety as well. So this is also something that can really help. And also in here, being a watcher of your emotions, which is like observing or non-judging. This is actually also a mindfulness technique in DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. So this is actually also something that's really vital. Observing and non-judging your emotions. Like if you feel an emotion inside of your body, rather than again just going into like brief reaction mode, what I had to figure out was, I'm like, okay, I have a certain emotion that's rising up here. All right. So instead of just, again, immediately going into reaction mode or immediately going into action mode, I was able to kind of sit with it, going, okay, I'm feeling, some butterflies in my tummy. My hands are feeling clammy. My heart rate is going up, all of that. And again, you become, again, an observer of your emotions. And again, you're not judging them. So that's, again, also something that really helped me when it came to kind of acceptance of emotions also. So along with all this, we have a quote, and as well as a song and a journal prompts, right? So the quote for today comes from Ria Kakar. I love that name. And it's, always be true to your feelings, because the more you deny what you feel, the stronger I'm supposed to say it, the stronger it becomes. This is actually also something I really had to realize. So always be true to your feelings, because the more you deny what you feel, the stronger it becomes. Something really important. Our song for today is "You Can't Always Get What You Want" by the Rolling Stones. An awesome song. Okay, this is a song about acceptance of life's limitations and the realization that you can't achieve everything you desire. It suggests that focusing on what you need rather than solely what you want can lead to true fulfillment. And we can take this also in when it comes to emotions and when it comes to thoughts as well. So that's the song for the day. For your journal prompt for today, pay attention to how you react to a negative thought for today, or thought or emotion. Write down how you normally would react to it, and see if you can think of another way to react to it that is a bit more constructive, that is a bit healthier, let's just say. So that's your journal prompt for the day. All right. So I hope you definitely got a lot out of this video. Okay, I mean, again, this is about just total acceptance of things that may not be in our control. Okay, like sometimes our thoughts or our emotions and everything, and being able to kind of accept these and figuring out ways to accept them and move forward. So I'll turn your attention down to a little clicker on the bottom. Don't quit before the miracle happens. Find ways to keep moving forward in your life because you are amazing, you are worth it, and you are awesome. All right. I'll also say stay positive, stay motivated, stay focused on your huge, amazing, big dreams and goals. All right. Hope you have an absolutely amazing, amazing rest of your day. Make it an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching.